Well, a few years ago, we took on a missionary in Africa, Ghana, West Africa, by the name of Frederick Kearney and his wife Antoinette. And they have a bunch of kids, and they've been donated a bunch of musical instruments. And they said they have a bunch of kids with instruments, but nobody really knows what they're doing. And he said, I sure would love for you to come and teach a music camp with these kids. And I said, well, I don't have my passport. He said, well, you need to get your passport. I said, I guess so. So I got my passport, and that's kind of my intentions. Well, little did I know, that camp has not happened yet. It may or may not. I don't know. We don't have it scheduled yet still. But it's amazing what God will do when you just make yourself available. And I had no idea what a mission trip would do for my heart. I had no idea what going to a different place, seeing, it's not just the way that people live, but just a different life and a different way of life. It's almost like we're not all humans. It's so different. Bolivia, I'm not, and I've promised I'm not going to do a history report on the country of Bolivia this year, but it's a very poor country. It was the poorest of all the Central and South American countries, and now Venezuela, their economy and everything totally tanked, and so they're the poorest country, but that's the only reason that they're poorer than Bolivia now. It wasn't that Bolivia improved. It wasn't that they were doing better. And we just don't know what it's like to live in a country like that. Say what you want about America. When you go outside of America, you realize how blessed that we are to be in this nation. And over there, however, the thing that was impressive to me, a few things. One, a lot of the social agenda that's pushed on in our nation, and it's made it here locally and everything else, I don't see it over there. That stuff is not running rampant, and man, it's nice to have a break from it. I see a people they're poor. There's some very wealthy, and there's some very great technology there. I mean, advanced, the cities, the big cities with the millions of people in them, they're as advanced as America is. But you don't have to go far to find the exact opposite of that. Very, very small middle class, basically non-existent middle class. And but I find a people that are so warm, loving. They'll greet you and they'll greet you until you don't know. Like, I'm an American, and obviously much different than them. They're all about this tall, their skin's darker, they speak another language. It's very obvious that I don't belong there, naturally. And so they're respectful of that. But I see Brother Stephen just getting in and greeting them, not being afraid to touch them. It may sound weird, but he shows them through his actions that you do matter. I'm no better than you. I don't look down on you in any way. And I see that example, and I say, you know what? I want them to feel that way when they're around me as well. And so I'll greet them. And sometimes it's uncomfortable, but for me, I'm there representing the Lord, and I want them to know that they're loved and I'm no better than they are. And so it's funny. They'll greet you and greet you and greet you. You'll say bye. You know how sometimes when you're talking to somebody and somebody you really enjoy talking to, and you'll say, all right, we'll talk to you later. And then they'll say, all right, well, let me just tell you this one more thing. And you'll talk some more. And then you're like, okay, all right, I'm gone. I'm really gone this time. And then you start talking again, that kind of thing. Well, they certainly do that as well. But with them, every time, they're grabbing you, they're hugging you. The ladies will kiss the men will kiss the ladies, that kind of thing. And, they just over and over again. And it's really quite comical at times, especially when you first greet the people. I can start here and start greeting. I could come back around and they'll greet me again, just like they hadn't done it 5 minutes ago or 2 minutes ago. I love the culture. I'm not afraid of all that stuff. I've got a big God who's able to handle all those things. I've been to Bolivia twice, and the first time was 9 days. This time was, I guess it's 16 that I was in the country. God's protected me both times. Thank you for your prayers. I didn't get sick. If I ate something I shouldn't have, it didn't bother me. Praise the Lord for that. I didn't get electrocuted in the shower. Things were great. It was just a great time. And so, thank you for your support. I just say that up front. I didn't have anybody to tell me, you shouldn't go. I don't want you to go. We can't do while you're gone. Any of those kinds of things. No guilt, no feeling bad about it whatsoever, but support. And I appreciate that. I appreciate you being here tonight to hear me talk about it, because I'm very excited about everything that went on, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you. I'm going to try to run through it a little better than I did last time. If you were here last year, the PowerPoint was an hour and a half. I don't think it'll be that long tonight. I'm going to try hard. So, Bass is good at it. If I get to rambling, just wave at me or something. I'll wrap it up. All right? So, this is our trip to Bolivia. Of course, I went again with missionary Stephen Fanning, who is one of the missionaries we support. We've supported them since they were on deputation, I'm pretty sure is what he said. And so for many, many years, they lived over in the country for a good 15 years plus until Sister Darlene got cancer, and they stayed there, and she got treatments, but then it came back. It had to be more invasive, more specialized treatments. They did all they could, eventually had to come back to the United States, and God used that time to change their ministry to where he is now representative, ABMI representative to all the Spanish-speaking countries. And he's traveling all the time. She goes when she can. Bolivia is still very much in his heart. When you go there, you see how badly, he doesn't say it, but you see how badly he wishes he was still living there, serving, church planting, and working there. And there's the plant that they're working on right now. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But that's who I went with again, and it was just an incredible time. All right, let's get into it. So, that's not supposed to happen yet.
I've interrupted you to say something about Sister Darlene that you just found out before you went for this trip. She has been 10 years cleaning her room. Right? Has it been 10 years?
Maybe so. All right. So, I just want to tell you a little bit about the beginning. So, our original plan was to leave Greenville at 7 a.m. Wednesday morning. I say our original plan because things changed. All right, first thing was an addition. So, another one of our missionaries there, Robert Murray, his dad Ricky had never been to Bolivia and was coming over to see him, but that was certainly a part of it, but I think really bringing them some money, helping with that the exchange rate and all that, but I can tell you about that another time. The next plan came because as we were there at the airport getting ready to get on the plane had mechanical problems. The wheel had a bolt on it that was broken or something like that, and so our window in Houston was very small. We didn't have time for any delay, and so that changed our plans. We could not get a flight with all three of us together, and so they found two together, and Brother Ricky Murray and I we're traveling together. Stephen said, I'll go by myself. That way, if there's any more trouble, I can handle it, but at least you guys won't travel alone. Ricky had never been on an airplane before. So he was going to meet with us in Lima, Peru, and we'd go into Bolivia together, which is great because you got to get a visa when you get into the country. And I have mine. Ricky didn't have his. I know some Spanish, but I said, at least I won't have to deal with that. Or so I thought. Because as Brother Fanning got to Houston, then that plane had mechanical problems. His flight was delayed. He missed the rendezvous by about 3 hours. So we went on to Bolivia, and we were supposed to get in 10-something that evening, Wednesday evening. We got in about 4:45 Thursday morning instead. Brother Fanning was a whole nother day later. He didn't make it in until Friday morning. He had to take another flight and different things like that. So I learned something I have not experienced before, and that is right from the start, forget the plans. Just trust the Lord. Because you know what? God did some incredible things through all that, really. You know, it's a time you can fear or you can trust. You can, mechanical problems, and then now I'm supposed to get on that thing. You could just cancel and stay at home. But then I'd have missed all this. I called this handfuls on purpose because we had some problems. So they got on the intercom and they said, anyone that's been displaced because of this mechanical problem, come on by. We'll give you some vouchers for some free food. And the food in the airport's expensive. So we got these vouchers. We had our meals paid for, and we ate well before we left. And I had an extra handful on purpose. First class business for the 7.5-hour flight. I was only supposed to take a 5-hour flight, was max. But the new plan, they sent us from Greenville up to Newark, New Jersey. And then from Newark, New Jersey to Lima, Peru, that's a 7.5-hour flight. And I said, I don't know. This is going to test the back right away. I don't know about this. And so, long story made a little shorter, they said I had to go to the desk to talk about my ticket. And usually, when that's happened in the past, by the time I landed in that airport, I pull my app up again, and my seat's been assigned. It didn't happen this time, and I said, well, that's fine. So I go and I talk to the counter, and they say, well, we have this one seat available. And the other guy's like, no, you can't sell that seat. And he's like, well, but I have to because he got rebooked. This is the only seat left on the whole plane. And I'm thinking, what kind of seat is this? And they're talking to me, and they're saying, well, here's the thing about it. The pilots will be like climbing over you and stuff like that. And I was like, I really don't care. I just got to get where I'm going. I need to travel with him. He's never been on a plane. We need to go. And so I get on the plane, and I start looking, and I was like, man, that's a low seat number. Lower's better, because the plane gets smaller as it gets closer to the back. And a lot of these planes, I don't really fit. My knees are against the seats and all that. And so I was close to the front. I said, man, that's good. I walked through, and I was like, not only is this close to the front, but here's the plane to the right, and I'm going left. Am I sitting in the cockpit with them? I don't know what's going on, you know? This is what was going on. I don't know how well you can see that, but that's like a lounge chair with a small pillow, a big pillow, a small blanket, a big blanket, charging ports back here. This is the other view. That's me with my feet fully extended. Kicked up in that hole. Totally comfortable. I was like, man, I wish I had a seat like this at home. Had a little spot you could kick your shoes off and kick them up under there out of the way. I tell you, they fed like a king. Here's typical airplane food. They bring you a snack and they bring you a drink. Not a glass, usually, a little plastic cup. But the appetizer. I don't even know what all that stuff was, but it was delicious, I can say. The main course. That's a steak dinner with fresh veggies. It was was incredible. I'm like, man, I kind of felt like I ought to be sleeping because that seat, it would literally recline all the way into a bed. And some people, they did that. They would wrap up in those blankets with the pillows and just sleep the whole flight. And I was like, I kind of feel like I should be doing that, but I want to take this in. I've never seen anything like this before. Dessert. Yeah, that's real cheesecake. Yeah. Fresh raspberries, coffee. Man, that's good. And then later on, just because, some more fruit, cheese, neat little charcuterie tray, basically. I was thinking about poor Ricky back there. I didn't know where he was. And I said, please don't ask me how my flight was. So I get off the plane and I said, man, 7.5 hours, huh? And he's like, yeah, I don't know if this flying's for me. And I was like, yeah, that's rough, isn't it? I hope nobody knows him. If you do, please. It's still a secret at this point. All right. I felt terrible about it, honestly, but it was great. God gave me the messages that I was going to be preaching while I was on that flight. He knew what he was doing. All right. So day 2, Thursday, we were in Santa Cruz. That's where the international port where you come in. Of course, Brother Stephen wasn't there. I know some people there. I met them last time, but I know the Murrays as well, so we just spent the day with them. I really didn't take many pictures because I had a lot last year, and I just have this one. There's the Murray kids as we went back to that same park, and they're feeding the pigeons and enjoying their time with them. Day 3, Friday, Brother Stephen arrived, and so we caught another flight to El Alto, and drove to La Paz, Bolivia, which is where Anchor Baptist Church that they established is there. I'm going to try to run through the schedule real quick, and then I'll show a few other highlights at the end. It's kind of my plan. So this is Anchor Baptist Church there in La Paz. Everything's got gates. Everything's walled off. They have a lot of crime overnight, but these things do help a little bit. And so that's the sign for Anchor Baptist Church. They have to bring it in and out every time, too, or people steal it. But this is what I was here for, that little sign there. This is a family conference, is what that Campaña de Familias means. And it was Friday night and Saturday night and Sunday morning. And yes, that is your preacher and his wife with a picture there in Bolivia. Isn't that cool? This is Brother Ariel Fernandez. I met him last year also. He's from Cochabamba, and he was the other preacher as well. And they had these little flyers that they handed out, inviting people to the meeting as well. We preached there Friday night, preached there Saturday night. Of course, Brother Stephen interpreting, and preached there Sunday morning. And the conference was over. It was incredible. Moved on to, drove down the mountain to a place called Coroico, and it was about 2.5, 3 hours from there, and went to go meet up with another pastor there at the Iglesia Bautista de Coroico, or Coroico Baptist Church is what that means. And once again, the Lord was gracious to give me another opportunity to preach. And I preached the evening service at that church, again with Brother Stephen interpreting. Tuesday, so Monday, we just traveled back to La Paz, spent the day working on some logistics to get some work done. Tuesday, back in La Paz, they had a preachers' fellowship, and this was the Southern Andes Independent Baptist Preachers Fellowship that Brother Stephen and Brother Kenneth started many years ago. And it was very exciting because they actually had 17 national pastors there that day that lived within basically about 6 hours of La Paz. And they came and they traveled in. And once again, I had the privilege to be able to preach at that meeting. What I didn't know, I was the featured speaker. I was the only one. And they did some other things there as well. But that's really the only picture I had of some of the guys there. And again, a very incredible time. Then that evening we went to the church at El Alto, and we did a little work that evening. While you all were having out-of-control wildfires, we started a fire. But it was kind of ironic, but we were just cleaning up some of the construction debris and things like that. That night we did a little digging and stuff too. I'll show you that. Yeah, right here. So the main thing that we needed to address at the church, this is behind the existing building that's there. This, as they put the septic lines in, they had walled off this right here, and all the water that gathered in this whole area back here had nowhere to go. And this building right here had water. They've been getting a ton of rain, and it was saturated with water in there. And it's bad because this is an adobe building, and it can't handle the water. It'll start crumbling, and they'll lose the building. So our main task was to put drains in and deal with the downspouts, the non-existent downspouts. They just caught it in a barrel here, and then it just runs out, and it's been running in. And so we went to digging and putting in these drain lines, and I got to do a little gutter work while I was there. That's I do gutter work here, if you didn't know, and so that was kind of cool. It's just PVC pipe that we hooked up for now. We put these little drain boxes in, and got them covered back up. Made sure we had the right fall on them, all that good stuff. I don't do this kind of work here, but we were digging and transporting dirt and everything else with great equipment, by the way. Yeah, just some primitive hand tools, and those are as little as they look. Little people with little tools, and we had bought a new wheelbarrow, and immediately it broke, and so we found these buckets, and we were transporting dirt from around here in the front of the property back here to fill in all that. And it was great to be working for the Lord. So we did that on Tuesday evening, and then the majority of it on Wednesday. And then Wednesday night, the pastor's brother he's got a problem with alcohol, and he was missing for a couple weeks, and they were going to try to find him. They did find him, got him into a hospital, but he asked if we would just handle the service Wednesday night. And I tell you what, I'm glad that he did. That Wednesday, I told Brother Stephen, I said, "Brother, I appreciate it." I said, "I don't have to preach every time, though. You know, if you've got something." And he said, "No." He said, "I want you to." And I preached that night. God put it on my heart to share again that message about the faith of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And I preached that message, and whether anybody else got anything out of it or not, Brother Stephen was so full. Literally for the next 3 days, everyone that he talked to, he was talking about that message. I'd hear him say something about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Again, I didn't understand everything about everything he was saying, but I'd hear that, and I would just be like, "Oh, man, there it is again." He'd meet a stranger on the street, and he'd start telling them about it. It was hilarious. But God really helped us there. Thursday, we traveled back to Santa Cruz. Again, not the plan. We were supposed to go to Rialto, but flights got messed up. It was the theme this trip. And while we were there, we meet this brother here, Adelaide Pardo. I met him last year. This picture is actually from last year. But he's got a Bible college there in Santa Cruz, and he asked that both Brother Stephen and I would come and talk to the Bible college kids that night. And I thought how impressive that was, because I've not even been to Bible college. But the Lord gave me a burden to share with them some about being a bivocational pastor. Their students that they have currently, all three of them have professions. They're doing well in their careers, and it may very well be that they are bivocational for a little while. So all that, I didn't really know all that, but again, God did, and they asked a lot of questions, and it was quite a blessing. So that was day 9. So in the first 9 days, I'd preached 7 times. We hit the ground running. And I'm just not worthy. It was so overwhelming, especially seeing people getting help. God transcends language. You know, I loved having Brother Stephen as the interpreter, because if it was just an interpreter, they would just share the words that I'm saying. But Brother Stephen is God's man, and he's hearing what I'm saying, and he's making sure that that message is coming across. Occasionally he would say, "Give me just a second," and he'd go for a little while, just sharing and filling in, and then we'd pick up and we'd go again. It was wonderful. It was great. I told him by that last service, I said, "Brother," I said, "if I'm preaching and you start getting something and you need to say it," I said, "just say it. You're not going to bother me a bit. Just go for it." He said, that won't bother you?" I said, "It's not going to bother me at all." And I don't know if it was that or what, but we had such liberty that night, and I tell you, it was amazing. It was amazing. So Friday, we travel up to Berea, which is on the coast of Bolivia and Brazil, and we go to this Living Faith Baptist Church. That's what that translates to. And this is a church. There's a missionary there. You say, "Man, there's a lot of preachers in Bolivia." It's a big country, and that La Paz, where we are, there's a couple million people there. Santa Cruz, there's 4 million people there. They need more. They need more. But this place, Berea, has a missionary that I had not met before, Kenneth Elsie, who is one of Stephen and Darlene's dearest friends. They've ministered together for years and years. They started this church 3 years ago in Berea. And this was their anniversary service, their third, that tercer aniversario, that's the third anniversary of Living Faith Baptist Church. And Brother Stephen was the featured speaker Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning. And doesn't he look good there? That's an old picture. They passed out 6,000 of these. And it worked. That's not even the biggest crowd. Bolivians tend to keep coming and coming and coming as the service goes on. That was towards the beginning, not even the fullest service. That Sunday morning, there was over 500 people there. A church that's been there for 3 years. It's incredible. They're doing a great work. They got all these guys serving, and these ladies here. That's kind of their little choir. I was sitting a little further back that Sunday morning. These little girls came and sat with me. So Stephen preached like a wild man, and I tell you, we saw about 30 people get saved. I don't even know how many. It was awesome. After that anniversary service was done, that Sunday evening, we went to another church plant that they're working on, that Brother Michael is pastoring. And Monday, we were just riding motorcycles around, I think. That's when we went riding around. Tuesday, got to go over to Brazil, and I'll show a couple pictures of that later. Wednesday was basically a work day. I was catching up on things at home. He was catching up with some things he needed to do. We fellowshipped a little bit, as about it. And then Thursday, we started home. I woke up early that morning, anticipating coming home. I was ready, had my shower, had everything packed and ready to go, and I was like, it's only 8 o'clock. I don't have to be at the airport till about 3. So we made it there about noon, and for the next 36 hours, I was in an airport or an airplane. and so came back pretty tired, unfortunately. But that was it. Now, this is what it's all about, the people. So early on, we got to the airport in El Alto that Friday, and this fella ended up being our taxi driver. And we're riding along and just, talking a little bit, and I had Google Translate ready a little more, and I just got the ball rolling asking him if he knew the Lord. And he's a new Christian. He's only been saved about a year and hasn't really had a lot of support, a lot of help. And so it was awesome to get him plugged into the church there at Anchor. We invited him, and he came to the conference, and his name's Ariel. You can pray for him. That's a wonderful thing. These are some of the folks in La Paz. La Paz is high in altitude, which means it's cooler. It's more like fall of the year all the time. And so they just have blankets and stuff. I don't think they had any heat going on in the building. It was, if you were in a climate that's cold, you just dress warm. And if you're in a climate that's hot, you just sweat. This sweet little lady of the church, she just loved on me like she's my grandma. They were real gracious. That's a breakfast one day, breakfast another day, maybe the same day. That lady's wearing the same thing. Pastor Rodrigo is pastor about 2 hours away from there, and he and his wife had this baby. And as part of this family conference, they'd asked Brother Stephen if he would do a baby dedication for him. And so that was taking place that night. Brother Stephen brought tons of clothes and things like that. They're doing a little baby shower right there in the service. It was great. Then there was Pastor Santiago and his wife Ruth. He's the pastor of the church in Croyoco, and the one that I preached that first Sunday night. Ruth is pregnant, but she's lost several babies so far. So this is, I think she's about 7 months right here, believe it or not. And so this is the longest that she's been able to carry one yet. So we're praying and hopeful that it's going to happen. They're a tremendous couple. Very near and dear to Brother Stephen and his family as well. We brought one whole suitcase full of stuff for them. And so this was the baby shower. It very much touched them. They were overwhelmed. You can see how precious she's just holding those little shoes, and it was heart. It was. I was the cameraman, and I tell you, it was touching. This surprised me. That evening, they showed me a little 3D picture of their baby. I'm like, you're getting ready to see where they live. You wouldn't think they had this kind of thing available for them over there. But praise the Lord. All right, this is not where they live. This is the neighbor's house. They said, just stop at the neighbor's house and we'll do the baby shower there. And it's like, well, but, we'll just take this stuff to your house. And they're like, no, we'll just need to do it out here. I didn't understand why, but I said, whatever. And so that's where we were. Beautiful view. I tell you that. It was a nice place right there. But that's where it ends. Afterward, he says, well, you want to see the house? I said, yeah, we'd love to see your house. He said, come on. So this is their house. It's worse than it looks. That's their kitchen. They have an outdoor kitchen, dirt floors. This stove was Brother Kenneth's stove 20 years ago there. Poor. And just serving God with their all. This is the inside of the house. They do have a little technology. There's a TV, and they had satellite and stuff. This right here is it's about a 9-foot ladder. The steps are tall. I'm just like, man. They sleep up here in the loft because they have these rats because of this kitchen situation out there. Stephen said they're rats, but they're more the size of possums. And those things, as they slept down here, would terrorize them through the night. And so he finally was able to put this this level in right here, and that 7-month pregnant lady every night is climbing up and down this ladder to go to bed. Worse than that, this is the walk to get there, and the picture doesn't do it justice. It's one of the steepest hills I've climbed before. And I'm thinking, this woman has to do this every day. And it's high. This is the view from their house. You see that right there? You remember the picture a little bit ago? That's that. This is way up there. And I was just overwhelmed. I wept all the way back to the truck. I was glad it was night. And just thinking about the sacrifice of this couple. They've just given their all to the Lord, and they're not mad about it. They're just living and enduring it. Hopeful. There's a property next door that's it's a large property, and it's for sale cheap, just $20,000 American dollars. And they're hoping to get that place and be able to move the church, because they're having to pay rent where they're at, and put the church on half of the land and then give them a place to live right there. Just amazing. I cried so many times thinking about them. This is the Elsies. Well, some of them, that's Brother Kenneth. He's an amazing man of God. This is his little princess, Anna. That's Michael in the middle, their son. He got a big family. We spent time with them in Reroute. They're wonderful. Again, more later. I'm going to try to keep moving. One of the things that I loved about both trips to Bolivia is all the personal evangelism. So besides the preaching and the work and the different things that we're doing, it's just an open. It's a place that you can stop and talk to anybody. I have not had this happen one time when I tried to talk to somebody and they just blew me off and kept walking, or said, leave me alone, or anything like that. No matter who I talk to, no matter who he talks to, they stop and talk to us. And it's incredible. And over again, we have opportunity to pass out literature and talk to him. This is a man that's, I think he was checking the air pressure in the tires or something like that. I don't know. I can't even remember. But Stephen's given him a John Romans. Most people don't have Bibles. And so they give him these scripture portions for now, and then get the Bibles out as they can too, as they have them available and are able to get them out. And he's showing them and talking through the plan of salvation with them right there. We took advantage of every opportunity we had. As we were traveling back to La Paz, we came across this drunk taxi driver who had wanted to turn around. I think he was trying to turn around right here, but he was drunk, and he rolled back and fell off the road right there. And he's the one behind the wheel. This guy, it was like noon, and he couldn't walk straight. He was falling into me in the truck, and I still gave him some literature. I said, when you sober up, read this. And he was thanking me, and he was trying to bow down and stuff. I was like, you're going to fall over. But you never know. You never know. Maybe you just don't know how God's going to use it. So we took advantage of it. Yeah, they can't drive in Bolivia. Later on, this guy here, he was just trying to get on that road, didn't realize quite how deep the water was. He was stuck, and so we pulled him out as well. That's Brother Stephen's truck. It was cool to be riding around in that, be able to do some of this kind of stuff. And You know, and you do somebody a favor like that, least they can do is take some literature from you. This was really cool. We ran into this guy, Raul, when we were just riding motorcycles through the jungle. And this was his house. He invited us over and he wanted to cook us supper and all kinds of stuff. But this guy here, Brother Stephen loves getting his hair cut over in Bolivia because it costs about $3, and he likes the way they cut it. And this young man, pray for him, he actually knows quite a bit about the Lord, and he knows enough to know he doesn't want to play with it. He doesn't want to pretend. He said, the thing is, if I accept Christ, he needs to be number one in my life. But he said, I just don't know that I'm ready to do that yet. So pray for him. This lady here had a health need. She was homeless because of it, and just broke down weeping when Brother Stephen told her Jesus loves her. She didn't think anybody loved her. These are just a few. I didn't take half of the pictures of the people. The camp, maybe you've heard on WGCR them talking about doing a camp in Bolivia next year in January. This is the camp. I got to see it. It's the current status of it. They got animals running around everywhere. They got all these natural, this is a star fruit. They got all these tropical fruits and things growing naturally. This is the kind of rec building that they have built so far. It's got basketball and soccer, and they got volleyball in there. This is a rubber tree. Before they started making rubber synthetically, that's the tree that they would get it from. They got water there. This is the sanctuary building right now. This is the kitchen part of it, and there's the sanctuary. They've already got commitments from 500 kids to attend this camp in January next year. Still under construction. They make those bricks 2 at a time. And I got to see that. I wish I'd have got a video of it, but I didn't. This is a spot they're looking to build the dorms. That's the little fellow living on the grounds right now. I think it's his grandma that lives there. They have to have somebody living at the church property all the time to keep trouble away. Transportation, I just got to thinking about this at the end. This is the inside of that nice airplane with the lounge chairs. And I was thinking of all the different ways that I traveled. And I took 12 flights while I was gone. None like this one. We were in Brother Stephen's truck. There's the front of it. I like the little cross on there. I didn't take that, but that's like a one-person little smart car. I don't know. It's so smart. I didn't take that either. I just thought that was kind of neat. Bolivia doesn't seem to have any traffic laws. So this was us going from the airport to Brother Kenneth's house, and that's his little girl just climbing around, sitting wherever she wants to and doing whatever she wants to do. This motorcycle, this is a family on it. There's 3 people. I've seen them with 5. They'll have little infants they're just holding on to like this as they're riding. I'm just like, good night. That's wild right there. Brother Stephen and I, these were our bikes while we were there. I got it a little dirty. That's the church bus, Living Faith Baptist Church. It's Brother Kenneth's ride. That's a barge taking a truck. This was the little boat that we took traveling back and forth between Bolivia and Brazil. We moved our luggage like this one time. That's Brother Stephen on the back of that motorcycle carrying our luggage, and I'm carrying one as I'm riding this one. And, you know, this would look kind of crazy here. But for them, nobody even gave us a look. It's just normal. They just do what they need to do. We took taxi. We took motorcycle taxi. We took, this was a ferry with the motorcycles on it. There's me on the motorcycle taxi. Like I said, I just looked right over his head like he wasn't even there. Straining that poor little bike, that's for sure. This was that ferry. You saw that little thing shoot through there. That was off of the other guy's propeller, and it hit me right in the head. That was cool. But we brought our motorcycles. We were riding to go to another little town right there. We rode in some conditions I've never ridden in before. That's me riding through some water that was up to my knees. And God just helped us through it all. It was cool. It was good. This is us crossing the river, going to Brazil. I was in the front of that little boat. Took that video. A lot of ways of transportation there. Some of the sites that we saw, there's a lot of idol worship there. There's this great statue here. It's supposed to be Christ up on that statue, but they pour out alcohol sacrifices. They burn llama fetuses. They do all kinds of weird type of sacrifices up at this place. Saw some beautiful things. This is a tunnel, and they do like, this is a group, and they do like rock climbing up through here. That was kind of cool. This is something Bolivia is famous for. It's called the Death Road, and we rode on it a little bit. Just I guess he wanted me to be able to say I've been on the Death Road, but we got to here and we didn't go anymore because we didn't want to die that day. But it is, that's just barely wide enough for his truck right there, and they've been having a lot of mudslides and stuff, so we just got about that far and found a spot to turn around, came on back. The high elevations, they keep snow on the mountain peaks all the time. This is a little Ayamatu Indian ladies. We got breakfast from her, and that lady was just precious. This is the little rabbit that lives at the church. That's a snake. It's dead. This is a tree that stands way above the rest of them, so they worship it as some kind of protector for their land. That's what the sign's talking about. There's a pig crossing the road. Why? Because it's Bolivia. I don't know why. I'm wearing you out. I'll finish up. The Brazilian nut tree. There's actually, the Brazilian nuts are primarily harvested in Bolivia. Kenneth said they should be called Bolivian nuts, but they're not. This is Brazil. It's a lot more modern. I didn't see anything like this in Bolivia, like a modern grocery store. Drinking some coconut water, fresh. There's some of the animals, the birds. Never knew where you were going to see them. That's in a little storage drain, or a storm drain right there. This was cool. That's raw sewage flowing right by this playground. This was funny too. So in Bolivia, Simon Bolivar came 200 years ago and fought Spain, and they won their independence. Bolivia was a nation. They had it reached all the way over to the ocean, and every war Bolivia has been in since, they've lost. So they keep losing parts of their country, and they lost their sea coast. And so this was called Dia de la Mar, which was the day of the sea. And this was a celebration. This was a school function right here. They were having parades, and they were celebrating the day they lost their sea coast, saying, "We'll get it back one day. It's the right of all humans to be able to have access to the sea," and all this stuff. It was funny. There's that snake again. It was 8 foot 9 inches long. One of the families there in La Paz, fed us. We ate at people's homes. We ate in restaurants. I got this app to show the elevations, and so I thought that was kind of neat. And this road, Stephen said this road that they made to eliminate the death road is the most expensive highway built in the whole world. And you can see why when they had to cut that much. That is a bus right there. And they had to cut that much to be able to get a road through there, up at about 12,000, almost 13,000 feet. That's the highest picture I took, 15,005. This is neat. You can't see that right there the way the screen is right now, but that's at 13,000 something feet. And I don't know if you can tell from where you're seated, but this is freshly dug. That's raw ground right there. And as they dug, making room for the road right there, those are river rocks in there. And there's fossils in there. How in the world do those river rocks and those fossils get 13,000 feet in the air?
Flood.
Almost like there's a worldwide flood. That's right. Pretty cool. I took this one. This was the interesting part about the work that we did. It was at almost 14,000 feet. So all the work, the little bit of work that you would do, your heart would be about to beat out of your chest. Your lungs were burning. And if you raised up, even this much too quickly, you were dizzy. You'd have to grab onto something. But again, the Lord was gracious, and we were able to get that work done in spite of the elevation. And the extremes. We went from here to landing in Berea Alta. It was only 550 feet in elevation. Right there in the warm land, the rainforest. Brother Stephen, spending time with him, I have nothing but more and more respect for him. He's God's man. He's here in the morning just reading his Bible, enjoying some time with the Lord, taking every opportunity to talk to people about the Lord. We're just in a hardware store here, and he's talking about the Lord. He's leading the service, leading the singing that Wednesday night, playing his guitar. They were all just riding together. I saw a whole lot of this. Brother Stephen is a man of prayer, and he prayed, and I don't know how many times I woke up in the middle of the night hearing him praying over in another room somewhere else. Just burdened about things, whether it's the trip, things going on back home. And he's God's man. I'm so glad to know him and to be able to support him. This Saturday night, we were riding to go get something to eat, and we came upon a heavy rain. You could tell it a little more with him than me, but we are soaking wet right there, riding the motorcycles in the rain. I got there, I said, whose idea was this anyway? But that's us after we got some haircuts. All right, this thing's done, so I'm going to tell you a quick story right here. Brother Stephen is, he's only about 8 years older than me, I think. And so we meet this guy that comes in. You can get the lights, it's done. We get this guy that comes in at the end of the trip he is getting ready to plan a medical missions trip. And what that is medical professionals, doctors, nurses, all these people will come in, and they'll meet the needs of the community, all the needs that they can in that time frame. And so he comes ahead of time to see what kinds of services are available and, what they're going to cost and all those kinds of things, so they can plan this trip, right? And so they've done it before, and he met Brother Stephen's youngest son, Levi. Levi served as an interpreter at one of those clinics and did a great job. And he knew that Levi had a brother. So we're sitting here at breakfast that morning, and he's looking at him, he's looking at me, he's looking back and forth. He says, Brother Stephen, is this your oldest son? I said, yes! And it was the joke the rest of the trip. And so Brother Stephen's hair is still pretty dark, but but right there on the sides is where he's gray right there. He said he got home that evening and told his wife, he said, I'm getting old, and told her about what happened. And she's ragged him ever since. And she told me the rest of the trip, well, you taking good care of your daddy? We had some good laughs with that. But we went to the barber shop, and he got all that gray cut off. He said, I can't have this. So just a tremendous time. And again, I put this Lamentations scripture on here, 3:51. Mine eye hath affected my heart. And that's exactly what happens. I don't think for any of us, it's possible to really be able to we tend to put God in a box. We know He can do everything. We know He's almighty, all-powerful, all-knowing, but yet we get used to what we know about Him, and we tend to think that's it. And a trip like this, what it does is it says, you don't know the half of it. You have no idea how big this thing is, and how much that God's doing, and how awesome that He is. I come back. Many of you made comments about how I came back so full, and it's true. I didn't know it was that obvious. I didn't know it was that evident, but we serve an amazing God. He really is limitless, and I'm really just a nobody. I'm not worthy of all this world travel and this being able to preach to people in another land and all these kinds of things. But God's just so good, and you all had a part in that. I want to thank you again for your support. Would like to thank again all those that filled in for me, the different jobs and things that I typically do around here. Thank you, Brother James, for teaching for me. Thank you, Keenan, for leading the singing and the choir and just managing things on this end, taking care of Zoom, all that kind of stuff. Thanks to my wife. I couldn't do it if it wasn't for her. And she had my back 110%. I mean, just supportive. She saw what it did for me last year, and was excited about me talking to Brother Stephen this year. We had no idea it was going to happen again so quick and all that kind of stuff, but supportive, and ran things in my business, and Sebastian stepped up, and where I could, forget about those things for a little while. And it was nice. It was nice to be away and know that the church was in good hands, that things were fine. I've told y'all many times that this thing is way bigger than me. It's not depending on me. I'm not the key for God moving and what He's doing here at the church. But I sure am glad that He's put me here and lets me be a part of it. And I'm glad that I saw and that you saw that this thing will go on, with or without me, because we have a great God. I'm not cutting off right now. Forget it. Huh? Oh, yeah. I thought that was the sign. I was like, no, this is, and you endured all the rest of it. You got to hear this. But I really mean it. I really mean it, church, because you could have, other people could take advantage of a time like this and cause some trouble and, begin, how's he just leave us like this? How's he have the right to do that? And all, there could be a lot of trouble and a lot of things. And I came home to find you folks doing great. You had a good time while I was gone too. Praise God for that. It's a wonderful thing. So I don't know when I'll excuse me, I don't know when I'll go again, if I'll go again. Honestly, I don't know. We never know. But I hope I get to. And I'm glad that I really believe this. I believe that I know that it grows my faith. I know that it grows my walk. But I really believe it makes me a better preacher as well, a better pastor. And we've had an incredible time since we've been back, haven't we? So thank you all so much. I love you from the bottom of my heart. And let me assure you again, all of this, I don't feel like I did a good job showing it tonight, really what happened, but at least you got to see some things. Let me just say, I am more secure than I've ever been that this is where I'm supposed to be. In spite of all that, it was great, but I was glad it happened, and I'm glad it's over, and then I'm back home. All right? So I just want to, assure you on that. And again, just thank you all. It's an honor to be your pastor, and thank you for your attention tonight as I got to share some about this trip. Anybody have any questions or comments? I know it went long again. Not an hour and a half, but we went long. Anybody have anything? All right. Oh, I will tell Bass's story real quick. So I went to Share-a-thon, and Samantha had been there working in the kitchen, and she talked to Brother Stephen a little bit. And I went by and I saw her. She said, "You see Brother Stephen?" I said, "No." She said, "I didn't know if he's trying to get you to go to Bolivia again or not." And I said, "No, I hadn't seen him yet." And so she said, "I think they're going in October." And I said, "Okay, well, we'll see what happens." So I go and I talk to Brother Stephen again, and he didn't say anything about October. He says, "Yeah, I'm going again in March. You want to go?" And so we talk a little bit, and I find out the details of it, and I say, "I don't know. That's a lot longer than I've ever been gone. I'll pray about it." And I hadn't even had a chance to pray about it yet, really. I got home later that day, and I sat down with Samantha, and I said, "Well, I saw Brother Steve," and she's like, "And we talked about it a little bit. And we had just finished talking about it. Hadn't even prayed about it yet or anything. And I get a phone call from Sebastian. He says, "Dad, it happened." And I was like, "Okay, what happened?" He's like, "I broke my bracelet." And I said, "Okay. I don't really know what that means." He's like, "My bracelet, you got me in Bolivia." And I said, "You got to be kidding me." I said, "Lord, I hadn't even prayed about that. And now Sebastian broke the souvenir that I got him just now. I didn't even know, but he'd wore that thing every day, nonstop, since I brought it home for him last year." And he's like, "Yep, broke my bracelet." And I said, "You got to tell your mama that." So I had him tell her. She's like, "I guess you got to go back and get him another one." So I got him 2 this year. That's funny. God's good. You got it on? Oh, my goodness. Making sure it doesn't break again, I guess. All right. All right. Thank you for your attention. We'll go ahead and have a word of prayer and dismiss. And I'm happy to, if anybody has any more questions or anything one-on-one, appreciate. Oh, yeah. So I meant to do that, too. Well, I'll just have to show you other times. I meant to bring all my little souvenirs and stuff that I got last year. This year, I got some Brazilian money also. Rays, they're called. So I'll throw those up there. You're welcome to look at that. And if anybody, I brought back a souvenir for everybody last year in a coin. They use coins a lot more than what we do. You can buy taxis with coins and stuff, but I should have enough coins available for anyone that did not get one last year. I would love to give you one for a souvenir of the trip on the way out the door. All right. So, very good.